Hi, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today is our December garden tour. It is also our last video of 2024, so I would love to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Before we head out to the garden, I want to share with you some things that I learned about letting my ground go fallow in its sabbatical year of rest. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will link up a video here that describes why I let my ground go fallow all of 2024. I also have videos of each and every month to show you what the garden looked like when I did not sow any seed at all. Make sure you stay tuned until the end because I will take you out and show you what the garden looks like here at the end of December. Now, some observations of letting my ground go fallow. It grew a lot of weeds, y'all. Like, all the weeds. I think the weeds were just trying to take over. They're like, oh, she's not in here, and while she's not looking, we'll grow 10 feet tall. It was fantastic. They really loved it, and I did go out and weed several times throughout the year. The goal was not to cut down or remove or eliminate any plants that grew of their own, but some of the weeds had to go just for the health and safety of the garden. We also replaced all of the boards. I think most of you saw that. And we are in the process of redoing some of the irrigation. That will be done before next spring. And the garden looked full like the whole time, pretty much. It grew lots and lots of herbs that were left over from last year. It grew lots of flowers, beautiful flowers, medicinal flowers. That was really nice to see all summer long. The beautiful calendula and the feverfew and the chamomile. It was really nice to see those. I also got a lot of broccoli. I had some broccoli that went to seed the year before, and a lot of that sprung up, which was nice, and tons of potato volunteers. The strawberry plants also popped up all over the place. I don't know if that was from the birds or I don't know, but it was very cool to see. I'm gonna need to pull all those strawberries and put them in like a little spot of their own instead of having random strawberries growing everywhere, because those two will also take over quite a bit. And we are planting the garden this spring. I'm really excited about it. That's another thing I wanted to share. I was really burned out at the end of last year. I was feeling pretty unmotivated. I didn't really want to plant my garden anymore. I was really tired of canning and dehydrating and all of those things. I was just kind of over it. And if you've been gardening for any period of time, especially a very large garden that feeds your whole family, I'm sure you have felt the same way. I always planned to give my garden a year of rest in the 7th year. It was always my goal and intention. But I had no idea what would happen to me this year. So there would have been no way for me to know ahead of time to have planned this any better. It just makes me feel like God sees me and He knows what our needs are. And He knew from the beginning, right? He knew that I was going to need this time before I had any clue. So some of the things that make it a little bit magical for me, somebody that I love died this summer. He got really sick in the spring and he died late this summer. And if I was planting and preserving my garden, I would have had to make a very hard decision to either spend time with him or let my food rot, because I wouldn't have had time to do both. I was spending almost every day with him. I spent most of the summer really just sitting in a lawn chair in the front yard, reminiscing, talking about life, and afterward a lot of time in the hospital with him. The time that I spent with him, I can never get back. And I know I would have made the choice to let the food rot, and that would have broken my heart in an entirely different way. So before I start crying, let's move on to something on a little bit of a happier note. Another thing I never could have predicted, but God knew. My daughter, my young one, just had her first baby, so I am a granny, you guys. I've been a granny for a whole 2 weeks, and not planting the garden this year, letting the ground rest, gave me time to spend with her. I got to throw her an epic baby shower with all of her friends and lots of different family members, and it was fantastic. It was just a memory. It's a once in a lifetime thing. Being able to spend that extra bonding time with her was precious to me. The time I got to spend with William before he went to the Lord, and the time that I got to spend with my daughter Holly before she had her baby this winter, it's irreplaceable. You can't put off your relationships with your people. You just can't, because some things only happen once. And it's important to be there. A couple of questions some of you might have is, how did we eat if we didn't plant the garden? Well, I prayed the year before that God would give us enough food to last us, and boy, did he ever. We have not run out of food at all. In fact, I probably have 2 more years of green beans that I have canned up and ready to go. So God was good. He was gracious to me, and he answered my prayers, and he knew I was going to need this time away as much as the land needed it to recover. I was still really busy all year long, but mostly I was busy with my relationships. After William died, my friend Christy just kind of enveloped me in her love and had me come and spend a lot of time with her horses, and she taught me how to do the grooming and the tack, and then she re-taught me how to ride horses. It's been a long time since I've ridden, and we really got to bond together over that, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my friends and my family, and I'm grateful that God cares enough about me to... Okay. Sorry, you guys. I'm still a little bit emotional about all the different things that have happened this year. So sorry, I always get like a Rudolph nose when I start to cry. But I just want to say how grateful I am to God and to my friends and to my family and to all of you. This has just been a very humbling experience, letting the garden go. I think that all too often we let our worth be defined by our work. And I think that's a really dangerous place to live in. I guess I just want you guys to know that your value isn't determined on how hard you work, but it's more determined through your relationships with others and your relationship with our Creator. And I hope that as we go into 2025, each of you will consider how truly valuable you are. Just you, not what you produce, not how hard you work. And I know we all have to work, right? If we don't work, we don't eat. So we do have to work hard and be hard workers, but that doesn't define us. What defines us is how we love each other, how we care for one another, and building those memories and those bonds. Those are the things that we take with us when we go. All right, I'm really sorry, you guys. I'm sorry to get emotional all over you. So let's kind of lighten this up a little bit. Another observation about the Sabbath year. I gained a ton of weight. I was not working. I didn't go to the gym and I wasn't working in the garden like I normally do. And I did not adjust my eating routine. And so I got a little bit fluffy, y'all. But I'm going to be back out in the garden next year. And I mean, I don't really care if I gain a few pounds. My clothes still fit for the most part. And I know that, you know, weight for me is easy enough to lose if I want to. But yeah, I could have laid off the large portions that I normally eat after I've been working hard all day. So even when I wasn't working hard, I still just like mowed down. So that's a little bit of a funny observation. I think the last thing I want to share before I take you out to the garden is the Sabbath rest is designed for the restoration of the land, but it's also a reward for us in so many ways. And if we don't have the obedience to follow through with Sabbaths, whether they're yearly Sabbaths or, you know, like the 7-year Sabbath for the garden or the weekly Sabbath that God has instructed us to do, if we don't honor them, if we don't express obedience in those things, we're never going to see that they were truly designed as a reward for us, for God's children. So I guess that's pretty much it. Obedience is not a punishment. Turns out it's a reward. And now that I'm a little bit restored and the garden is so much happier, I am geared up, excited. I've got seeds and everything ready to go. We will be planting next year, and I am really excited to take you along for the ride. With all of that said, why don't we pop out to the garden and see what the December garden looks like? As usual, thought we would start here in the greenhouse, and we have lettuce growing in here. So far so good. It's pretty happy. Here we are entering the main gardens, and this is going to be a super fast tour, not a whole ton to show you at the moment, so we'll just do this quickly. Got the potted plants down here. The parsley is looking really nice. A lot of things still growing well. We've had a really mild December so far, which means we're probably going to have a really cold February. The rosemary is lovely. And of course the blueberries are just sticks at the moment. And the animals have not eaten all of my grapes yet, but they'll get to it for sure. Next month we'll come and trim all of these grapevines down. And everything has to go. I will be pulling up all of these weeds and extra plants. Everything's coming out of the main beds come January if the ground is workable. I got some things cleaned up here. We're really muddy. Got a lot of standing water. Some of the weeding has been done, but the main work, like these big giant plants, they're going to take quite a bit of effort to get out of the ground in order to plant potatoes or whatever. This was the comfrey that was like, whoo, really, really tall. And it's growing back already. You can see the new ones coming up, and that's fine. I'll just add a bunch of compost to this and let it do its thing next year. This is pretty typical. Like, this is my boot, and now it is covered. Lots and lots of mud in the garden this time of year. We'll just do a quick walk through. A lot of standing water, kind of a lake here. I got this bed cleaned up. And next to go on here are some leaves. My friend, Dr. Ron, gave me some beautiful crunched up leaves. And they're gonna go on there. Got this bed. This bed had the skull cap in it, and it's got these crazy roots, and the effort to get that out is enormous. So I had to save it for another day. This had the chamomile in it. It'll grow chamomile again, but the bed has to be restored. It needs a lot of compost. And the weeds have made this their home. Lots and lots of weeds. And a little lake. Actually, all of this is all a lake. Didn't know you guys were getting a mud tour today, did you? Definitely have my work cut out for me before springtime next year. I'm actually really excited to get out here and pull everything. I have to wait the entire 12 months, so I will not be pulling anything until after the 1st of January. But come the 1st of January, if you need me, you will find me out here. And I'll give you a quick overview. There's the December garden, my friends. I'm sorry it was just a quick little run through there, but after all of my blubbering earlier, I figured you probably have had enough of me for one day. I will be back with you next week, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. Bye!